The Central Narcotics Bureau recently reclassified 5 new psychoactive substances, or NPS, as Class A controlled drugs. So this means that the trafficking, manufacture, import, export, possession or consumption of these substances will constitute an offence under the Misuse of Drugs Act.
NPS are synthetic drugs that produce similar effects as traditional controlled drugs like cannabis and cocaine. Another substance known as lisdexamphetamine has also been added to the Class A category.
And for more, Sng Chern Hong, Director of the Central Narcotics Bureau's Communications Division, joins us in studio. Thank you very much, Chern Hong, for joining us.
Yes.
Okay, first up, tell us about the rationale behind this reclassification of the synthetic drugs.
Yeah. So these 5 substances, they were previously on the 5th schedule of the Misuse of Drugs Act. So I need to explain a bit about the 5th schedule. So this 5th schedule was actually introduced in 2013. Basically, it's a preemptive move to tackle the NPS problem. So any substance that is listed on the 5th schedule, when we come across it, we are able to seize it. But we will not be able to take further action like arrest or prosecution of the offender. So it's really a containment strategy here, trying to stop the NPS from contaminating the public. But once you are on the 5th schedule, then CNB will have 1 year to do an industrial consultation to find out whether there's illicit use for these substances. And if there isn't any illicit use, then we'll shift it, we'll move it to the 1st schedule. Now, 1st schedule will give CNB officers a different set of powers. So we'll be able to seize, arrest, and prosecute the offender. So that's what is happening to these 5 substances. Yes.
Okay, well, help us understand these psychoactive substances better then. We understand the UN Office on Drugs and Crime has said that, they have sort of grown in number and sort of variety in recent years. But how are they traditional from the more drugs that are more commonly used, like cannabis, cocaine?
So in terms of effects, actually they are not too different because NPS really mimics the effects of your conventional drugs like your cocaine, your heroin, your cannabis. But it is really the chemical structure that's very different and how it has been manufactured. So NPS, it's really basically chemicals that are put together by rogue chemists to create a substance. And for them, if they want to create a new substance, all they have to do is based on the core molecular structure, they just make some minor modifications, and then they will have created a totally new substance. So in that sense, it is quite a big challenge to law enforcement agencies all over the world.
Okay, so are we seeing an increase of these synthetic psychoactive drugs here in Singapore? Is that why, CNB is doing what it's doing? Or, are we just, because we're seeing an increase in elsewhere in the world, so we're taking a preemptive step to, we suspect that might come to our shores?
Yeah, so in Singapore, we still don't have a big problem with NPS, but we do see increasing number of NPS abusers being arrested. But what we have put in place, for example, the 5th schedule and some other measures is really a preemptive move to make sure that when it does come, we are prepared for these drugs.
Yes. Well, Singapore has some very strong drug laws and strong deterrent efforts as well. But saying all that an 11% rise in last year compared to the year before, that seems like, well, the number's obviously going in the wrong direction. What do you put that down to?
That 11% really can be attributed to the increase in the number of NPS abusers and the meth abusers being arrested, partly because of our sustained enforcement efforts and also partly because of our enhanced detection capabilities for NPS. But if you look globally and regionally, you realize that there's a worsening drug situation all over. But in Singapore, for the past few years, we have maintained the number of drug abusers being arrested at about 3,000. So to us, it's still under control, considering that everywhere else, the drug situation, it's a lot worse.
Okay, given Singapore's close proximity to large-scale drug production regions, right, it's high risk of being a target for drug trafficking syndicates. So what is, CNB doing to perhaps stop this problem, at its core?
In terms of drug control strategy, we have basically a 4-pronged approach. and it is a whole of government approach. So firstly, preventive education, it's key to our strategy. We would work very closely with partners like MOEs to reach out to students in schools, and also beyond that with maybe MSF and other organizations to reach out to youths outside the school compound. So it's really to make sure that they maintain a very strong resilience against drugs. And that's one of the key strategy for us. Next will be our enforcement efforts. So we have very robust enforcement efforts. We work with our regional counterparts to stop the drugs from coming in to Singapore, and we have presence at the checkpoints and strong collaborations with police inland so that we can remove any offenders that brought drugs into Singapore. Then beyond that is really the treatment and rehabilitation process that is under the purview of prisons. It's a very evidence-based approach to help drug inmates to kick the habit. When they are in the DRC, the Drug Rehabilitation Center, there'll be programs for them. Beyond that, when they are out, there'll be other programs to help them to reintegrate back to the society. So it's a very comprehensive strategy involving many partners to help tackle this drug problem.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us, because and letting us know that, CNB is actually taking action here to reclassify new, psychoactive substances and, trying to nip it in the bud and being proactive. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. Sng Chern Hong, the Director of the Central Narcotics Bureau's Communications Division.